Okay, we started the recording. So Jagdish mentioned transition of Scrum Master to RT is one thing which we might want to cover today. Any other points? Any other things?
Hi Satish.
Hi, Bhaskar.
There is one more certificate from Safe Side Scrum Master. So the Scrum which we generally follow is it any different from a safe angle point of view?
Yes, we will cover that as well as part of the. When we start talking about the Scrum Master role, you yourself might get an idea what is the difference between the typical Scrum, which is CSM or PSM covers, versus the safe Scrum Master perspective.
Okay.
A little bit of additional scope will come into that, and we will get started with that. Okay. And
And you might want to touch base on the metrics, which are specific to safe kind of thing. Anything?
Metrics we might not be able to cover today, but let me make a note.
Just mention so that we can drill down later, self-learn later.
Sure. Yeah, we can do that, because the moment we start metrics, it's like a huge ocean.
Yes,
the team level, release train level, and the program level, portfolio level, a lot of things will come. So
just the names, I mean,
yeah,
just the what metrics is enough, at least in this context today.
Sure. We can discuss on that.
Yeah, I have a question, Satish.
Yes, Sripati.
Good evening. Question is, why people have to do safe? Just because the companies are having safe, or they're aiming to get into a company where safe is already running?
Yes.
The reason is when in my previous company safe was existing, but when I left, there is no safe now. I was thinking, what is safe for me at the moment? Because it's the time for me to renew my certificates, and I need to shell out certain amount of money for that. So I'm in a place where should I really renew it, or I should really identify a company where safe is existing.
Yeah, this was one of the discussion point in the group as well today. Like the renewal itself will take its own cost, and it's a yearly renewal. The Scale Agile has a different approach. It's not like a CSM or Scrum Alliance once in 2 years, or PMI once in 3 years, or Scrum.org lifetime free. But Scale Agile has different approach.
So mine was a corporate program. So that means it was beneficial for me when I was doing it. But right now, when I have to take it, I have a couple of certifications together. It's like a bundle. So I need to do that. That means it is not the single price. I have to pay a little higher than the regular price. So in this perspective, like how a person has to think while taking up a safe certification, aiming that his current company will become safe, or his future companies will become safe.
Sure. We will touch that once we go to that the certification and the renewal part. Thanks, Sripati.
Thank you.
Satish, Avinash here. I have one question.
Yes,
what is the role of a Scrum Master in Safe? Is there any difference between Scrum and Safe? The responsibilities, in terms of responsibilities. So between Safe and Scrum, that
yes, when we start going through these two things, right, we will get some clarity on that. What's the role of Scrum Master in Safe, and additional responsibilities which we might get from the Safe Scrum Master perspective. And this might be required when you are explicitly going for a safe implementation from the regular Scrum implementation perspective, to help you set the context. Okay, there is one question: how to upgrade from Safe 5 to Safe 6? Upgrade from Safe 5 to Safe 6 is pretty straightforward. The Scale Agile, they themselves give the course material and the content of what's difference between 5 to 6. And each module, they gave a knowledge check, and it is like unlimited attempts. We need to get 100% for the upgrade itself, not for the regular certification. For the upgrade from version 5 to 6, we need to get 100% for that upgrade. Once we upgrade one certification, all the active certifications at that point of time will be upgraded to version 6, which is like there is only one upgrade. All the certifications, irrespective whether it is a Scrum Master, RT, Product Owner, or Safe Agilist, or SPC, or any valid active safe certification will get upgraded from version 5 to version 6 with one single upgrade. And that upgrade is free of cost provided, but the renewal is not free. So once you upgrade, you will be getting upgraded from version 5 to version 6 with the same validity date. The validity date won't get extended or renewed. If let's suppose your validity is till December 2023, now you upgraded from version 5 to 6, you will be having version 6 certificate valid till December 2023. It won't get renewed for next 1 year from the current date. No. Does it answer your question, Narayana? Sure. Karthikeyan, we will discuss as well once we go to the CSM versus Safe Scrum Master. You might get some clarity on that, and let's get started. Okay. Okay. So I am all the things which are referring today is open source scaleagileparametric.com. Any of you, any point of time can access it. There is no charge for accessing the framework. The charges will be coming only for the training and certification. So we need to understand the difference. The certification, if you want to go for certification, that's when we need to pay for the certification and training. But if you want to learn the Scale Agile implementation, the scaleagileparametric.com is open source. Today we will go through how you can access, how you can navigate, how you can start learning, exploring the scaleagileparametric.com from your side. And we can schedule some more sessions like this so that any additional questions we can get clarified once you start exploring on your own. Okay. So as a starting point, whenever we launch scaleagileparametric.com, don't get confused, don't get worried looking at this portfolio. By default, as you can see highlighted, the portfolio configuration is what will be default when we launch scaleagileparametric.com. Don't get confused, don't get worried at all. Click on Essential Safe. Let me zoom it a little bit. Click on Essential Safe, and this is what any organization, when they start with the Scale Agile implementation for the first time, whether they are having a waterfall, whether they are having a typical Scrum implementation or any other configuration, any other framework or anything, whenever any organization wants to start with the Scale Agile implementation for the first time, they will be starting with the essential configuration. Okay. So essential, as the name says, it is very basic, very minimal, very minute things from the overall framework, which is required. It is like a MVP sort of thing, right? A very basic thing which is required for any organization, any implementation to get started with the safe implementation. From your learning perspective as well, start exploring with the essential configuration itself. Don't explore the large solution portfolio or full. We might get confused, we might get lost. No. My sincere suggestion is start with essential configuration. Now, as you can see on the screen, can you identify at least 5 things which you're already aware from the essential configuration perspective? At least 5. At least 5 components which are displayed on the screen from the essential configuration.
Like Satish, the roles, product owner, Scrum Master. Then we have a CI/CD,
backlogs.
Backlogs. Yes.
Backlogs, CI/CD, Scrum, and Kanban. A little bit of difference. They mentioned Safe Scrum and Safe Kanban. You will take a look at it, but at least the Scrum and Kanban, the backlog, yes. And we might have at least heard about the DevOps.
DevOps.
CI/CD and the DevOps. The other things we might not be aware, we might not have heard, nothing to worry. So this is the reason why the Scale Agile is recommending to start with essential configuration. Let me bring up full safe just for a moment. Now take a look at it. Now tell me, from this overall thing, how many we might have heard, we might have aware? Not many, right? The same is still the same. Product owner, Scrum Master, team, Scrum, Kanban, backlog, DevOps is there as a base, but still the moment we see everything, we might get tensed, we might get confused. The same thing happened with me. Do I need to learn and understand all these things to become a safe implementation, a safe practitioner? I got confused, I got tense, I got worried the moment I saw this entire framework. That's the reason the recommendation is to start with essential, so that all of us will get confidence. Oh, at least half of them, or at least 40% of them we know. We need to explore what is the additional things to get connecting the dots, plus what's additional things for the known things. Like we know Scrum, but what is that they mentioned safe Scrum? We know Kanban, but what is it the safe Kanban? We know Scrum Master, but here they mentioned team coach. What is that it is required? We know backlog, but here they're talking about team backlogs. What is it the team backlog? So we need to get started with the known components or known factors that will help us get some confidence on getting an idea about the overall framework perspective. Okay, are you good till now?
Yeah, Satish.
Okay, so what happens with the safe? Or Sripati asked the question, why safe? Or is it because the organization is recommending, organization is implementing, or is it because my upcoming or my new organization whom I am about to join or whom I am about to give an interview, they are implementing safe? Is that the reason we need to be aware of safe? Might be, yes. That is how I started my journey, because my client whom I am working for, from a waterfall, they are started implementing Scale Agile. That's how my journey got started in the Scale Agile implementation. So most of you might not be already working on safe, but you might be planning to work in the Scale Agile implementation. And that's the reason you might start exploring the scaleagileFramework.com, right? Oh, yes, that is a good start. It is like a being proactive and being ready to learn and understand the implementation aspects. And that is one factor. The other factor is like, why safe? Why not a typical Scrum? My organization, my teams are implementing Scrum. I'm a Scrum Master with CSM, 4 years, 5 years of experience. Do you need to be aware of safe? Having an idea will be definitely helpful to some extent, right? You might not be having a hands-on implementation experience, but at least having an idea shows to the panelists that, oh, okay, even though Satish is not having hands-on experience, he's having some idea, he's having some interest in learning, or he's having some thoughts on how the Scale Agile is implemented. During the interviews, during the panel discussions, that's what they will look, right? We will mention in the resumes continuous learning, or I will be learning on a regular basis. How we showcase that? This is how, like, different ways we can showcase that, rather than just saying a theoretical statement, I'm a continuous learner. How? Yes. Even though I'm not working on the Scale Agile implementation, I started learning, I started understanding, I started having discussion with my colleagues, my peers in my Agile community, and I started exploring the Scale Agile. That's how we can start explaining in the discussions, right? Let me bring up a small Excel sheet. Some of you might be aware, if in case you are in my previous discussions, but some of you might be looking at this first time. Let me bring that Excel. We will continue the discussion. Okay. Let me know you're able to see the Excel.
Yes.
Yes. So I'm taking a banking example because it is very easy, simple to discuss. It could be for any, any client or any domain, any organization, any implementation as well. There are multiple clients, multiple organizations across the world who are making use of the Scale Agile implementation. Okay, so just taking this banking example, we quickly came up with 11 or 12 different modules which are required for end-to-end implementation of the banking project. It could be online banking or it could be a mobile app, whatever it is. So QBank, you just take an example, like it's similar to that of ICICI Bank, for example, right? So all the required modules plus the scope or what is that is required from that module perspective is high level is listed down in this Excel, right? Now, what's the next step? If I'm the client, I reached out to you folks stating that, hey, I want this QBank new website. We are launching a new bank. So we want the new website for our bank. So you are being the software experts, Scrum Masters, Agile coaches, and artists. Can you help us with the implementation? Let's suppose that's a conversation. Me being a client, I reached out to help me with the implementation. Then I have the high level scope. I don't have the timelines. I don't have the how many team members are required or how many teams are required or anything. I don't have an idea. I know what is that is required. And I might be saying that, yes, this is my budget. This is my scope. I want this to be implemented. Now, that is where the solution is coming up. The solution and the solution context. What is the solution we are trying to implement? And what is the context of the solution? The context of the solution might be huge. The example just now we discussed qbank.com. But within that context, what is that the solution we are trying to implement as a starting point? Can we implement the entire QBank, all the 11 modules at a shot in a single release? Might not be. It might take its own time, its own timelines to get it, right? So that's where the next step of conversation might get started. We know these are the modules. Let's suppose like account management, right? So the account management to display the list of active accounts of customers. The account management module has a dependency with login module. Or maybe the profile module, profile management module. Same is the case with the payment transaction, right? So the amount to do a transfer, to do a payment from my account to your account, first I need to get what's the account ID. The next is like, what's the current balance of the account, right? What's the account ID we might be getting from the login team or login module. What's the balance of the account we might be getting from the account management module, right? And then we need to generate an OTP. For OTP, we have a dependency or interaction with the profile management where we are capturing the phone number of the customers and user, right? You are getting an idea. So the 11 or 12 modules which we defined, we started identifying what's the dependencies, what's the collaboration, what the coordination required across the modules. And I haven't mentioned one terminology. So all the end-to-end steps, the time we define the modules, it is to some extent, not fully, to some extent called as a value stream mapping or value stream management. what's the end-to-end steps required from the customer perspective. Customer, the end user. Customer is not me. I am the one who reached out to you for getting that implementation. But the customer perspective, what I'm talking about is the actual customer who might be having an account with the qbank.com, who might be logging into their online banking, who might be doing a transaction, who might be redeeming the rewards. That is the actual customer we are talking about, right? So the typical agile coaches or the safe practice consultants, SPCs, will be working on the identifying the value stream mapping. Value stream mapping is what's the end-to-end steps required from the implementation perspective. And next step is like, what's the teams? How many teams might be required, or how we need to bring them? So the next step is like the identifying the set of teams and identifying the, if in case, do we need to have a safe implementation, or where we typically call it about a agile release train, where a combination of multiple teams come together and work together. Which means, going back to the framework, we just started talking about the agile release train because we identified the solution and solution context. Now we are talking about an agile release train, if whether it is required. If the agile release train is required, that's when we start talking about the agile release train level backlog. From a typical Scrum guide perspective, this ART backlog might be a product backlog, simple terminology. It might be a product backlog where we are talking about a one single product of qbank.com. All the entire backlog required for implementing qbank.com website or mobile app will be ideally, if it is a typical Scrum, it might be defined in a product backlog where the prioritization happens, and then from there we will start talking about a sprint level. The team will start picking up the scope of the sprint from the priorities, and they will start implementation. Right? Are you good till now?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. So that is where, if in case, so we just started touch basing about whether the typical Scrum is required or a scale agile or the safe implementation is required. So again, we might get it out. Just because we have the dependencies, do we go for a safe implementation? Need not be. Just for our discussion, we identified a simple solution where it is easy for us to discuss and try to identify the dependencies, because it is a very simple, basic, known solution or a known product for all of us. There are multiple products or multiple domains, multiple organizations where the dependencies across the solutions might be coming up. That's where they might be talking about implementing the scaled agile. Let me try to bring a small picture to just show how it is the actual implementation could be happening within the scaled agile perspective. Okay, you're able to see the screen? The picture?
Yes.
Streamliner. Yes. This is a picture of Boeing Airlines, or the Boeing 787 Dreamliner. Boeing is one of the large solution implementation of scale agile. And as you can see on the picture, they have identified which part is developed by which country, and which company and in which country. Just take a look at it. How many companies and how many countries are there? If in case Boeing has to coordinate for implementing or building a new. Now they have a 787 Dreamliner. Now let's suppose they want to come up with a new airline, like maybe 797 or maybe 800 something, new number, new thing as such altogether. How simple or how easy for them to get that implementation done? We are not talking about the constructing the airline after the after everything is done. We are talking about doing the research and analysis, doing how it is required to integrate, to collaborate, to coordinate itself. The first airline, the first Dreamliner. Once it is done, the next thing will be like a reuse or building it on a typical manufacturing mode, right? But we are talking about coming up with a brand new Dreamliner. How Boeing as an organization need to coordinate with multiple stakeholders across the world. It is not even co-located, not even one single country. Right? Are we good? We got an idea why or where the Scale Agile could be helpful, really helpful?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So there are, I work for banking client and I help a couple of insurance clients. For us, it might look like a typical simple website or a mobile app. So we might be assuming or we might be, oh, what's the big deal? We can typically go for a simple Scrum itself. Yes, for a banking or any website, we can go for a simple Scrum itself. Need not be explicitly of Scale Agile. But think about such complicated situations or solutions, right? Recently, like ISRO, again, I'm not saying ISRO implemented Scale Agile, but just to give an example, ISRO, the moment Chandrayaan and that L1, Aditya L1 got launched, every company started publishing that. Today, I saw an article about L&T Mindtree, where they mentioned we as a company help Aditya L1 for building these parts. Yes. So when a company, when an organization has to coordinate with these many stakeholders across the world, will a typical Scrum could be sufficient or could be helpful? And
Very difficult,
Scrum,
actually.
yes, and Scrum Guide talks about one product backlog and one product owner. Fine, well and good. Can one single product owner get everything coordinated and done? If in case you are a product owner from Boeing or maybe ISRO or something else, it's not literally possible for each and every solution or implementation to be fitting within that typical Scrum Guide of one Scrum team or one product backlog and one product owner, one Scrum Master, one team working on the implementation. Might not be, will not be possible or feasible. That's the reason, going back to the framework, the Scaled Agile is talking about like different configurations: essential, large solution, portfolio, and full. So if in case there is a startup of 100 employees where they're talking about one single solution, it's a startup, right? Hardly, including the CEO of that startup, they have only 100 employees headcount. Everyone, marketing, sales, their typical development team, the HR, finance, everyone, including the total headcount is 100 employees. There, they implemented this essential configuration for one single solution, one backlog, multiple teams coming together and working together. And they published on the Scale Agile customer stories, stating that they implemented Scale Agile essential configuration and they were able to succeed in that implementation. Simple. So if it is a pretty simple, straightforward solution, it can, or if it is just a simple, direct upfront solution, we can even go with the essential configuration itself. So What is the additional things coming up beyond the typical team? We will be talking about agile teams. When we talk about agile teams, what is that? Why agile teams? Going back to this example, here we have 11 modules identified. What if your customer, I'm the customer here, right? What if I am coming and saying, hey, I want to get this website up and ready. I want to launch it, or we want to launch it by Dasara. Maybe a month time or 1.5 month time. So can one single team working on this implementation, they will be able to get it done? Might not be. That's where we will start identifying multiple teams working in parallel on the same solution. And it's not just multiple teams working in parallel on the same solution. We already identified the coordination and the dependencies required between the teams or between the modules, not the teams, between the modules. Yes, we will come to that question, Bhaskar. So why SAFe seems another layer above Scrum, or SAFe is a jumbo Scrum? Yes, SAFe is a combination of multiple teams. That's what we are talking about in the framework as well, right? The team level Scrum or team level Kanban or team backlog or the iterations. Iteration is nothing but the sprint, another terminology, right? So the sprint planning, daily stand-up, demo, retrospective at the team level, everything will still remain same, even in the scale agile. It won't be any change. So yes, as your question is, why there are two different governing bodies, Scrum Alliance, Scrum.org and SAFe, individually working means Scrum Alliance or Scrum.org recently in the 2020 November, they released a, the latest Scrum guide. And in the February 2021, Agile Manifesto had the 20-year celebration. Still, they're talking about one team and one product or one backlog. Just now we discussed, is it sufficient? Will it be helpful? It really helpful to get the actual implementation done in these complex, complicated situations or the technologies or the solutions which you're talking about? It's not. It might not be. So that is where the frameworks like Scale Agile, Large Scale Scrum, Nexus, or Disciplined Agile to some extent are trying to bridge the gap or trying to expand the scope of beyond the team and trying to set the context. What might happen if in case multiple teams have to work on same solution or same product, same implementation? Scrum Guide or Scrum.org or Scrum Alliance are never talking about it, even now, even after 20 years or 23 years. They don't want to even update the Agile Manifesto. What shall we do? It's not, we can't stop or we can't say that they're still talking about Agile Manifesto, Scrum Guide, one product, one backlog. No, it won't be sufficient. That's where these additional frameworks are trying to help to expand beyond the one single team scope. Are you good, Bhaskar? So team level still remains same. Yes, in a couple of minutes, we will start taking a look at the Scrum Master role within the Scale Agile. So you will get what's the difference between a typical Scrum Master versus a SAFe Scrum Master. If in case any of you are getting ready to appear or getting ready for any of the SAFe Scrum Master course or any interviews or anything as such. Are you good till now?
Yes. Yeah, Satish. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So so the Boeing example which I mentioned is talking about large solution, because Boeing as a company or as an organization has multiple organizations or multiple companies across the world working on the implementation, which means we need to talk about the payment, we need to talk about the compliance, we need to talk about the local rules, regulations, and guidelines. The US laws versus Australia, Japan, Italy, Sweden, France. Each country has their own laws, rules, regulations, payment modes, and everything. Right? Which means Boeing as a company, they can't just simply go and say that, hey, I am based out of US, which means all the companies or all the countries wherever you are located, I will be doing you the payment only in US dollars, or I will be following only the US regulations and guidelines. It might not work. It might not work. That is where we need to start talking about the compliance across the partners. Yes, here we are talking about multiple companies coming together, working together on one single solution of Boeing 787 Dreamliner. Right? So, which means each and every company need to follow the compliance and the rules, regulations. Boeing as a company need to understand what is the guidelines they need to set for each and every vendor company or the supplier company. So that's where the last solution will come into context. When you have suppliers beyond our organization, suppliers are not typical IT service companies like Infosys, Wipro, TCS. No, the suppliers are the actual third-party suppliers, which means they will be working in their own organization. They will be bringing them together to integrate or as per their timelines. They might not even follow Scrum. Forget about SAFe. They might not even follow Scrum. So then how do you coordinate? How do you communicate? How do you set the context to them? That is where the large solution as an implementation or as a configuration will come into context. So for now, don't get worried about large solution, but just because you're talking about the Boeing example, I just thought of setting the context that, yes, if in case the name itself is showing as large solution, yes, it is not a simple website or mobile app where using a chat GPT or generative AI generate and get it done in a sprint or two. No, we are not talking about it. We are talking about a huge physical product or physical solution. Yes, again, there's another difference. The typical software, IT products versus the physical products. Majority of us might be working on the IT or the software side. So the physical product will be having its own pace. We might not be able to integrate every day or every sprint, or we might not be able to showcase a working software every sprint because of integration is not done. Integration itself might take its own time, but each and every module might be focusing on coming up with their working piece of code or whatever it is in getting it ready for the actual integration, actual implementation part. Good. And next is the portfolio. Just before going into the role specific responsibilities, just to finish it up, the next is the portfolio. What is a portfolio? Here at the organization, we're talking about multiple solutions. Amazon, for example, Microsoft or Google. These organizations, they have multiple solutions, right? And that is where I'm not sure how many of you are aware, Google as an organization, of course, they renamed as Alphabet. Alphabet as an organization, every year, beginning of the year, they will be bifurcating the budgets for each and every product, which means Gmail, this is your product, this is your budget. Google Chat or Google Meet or YouTube or Google Drive. What are the solutions, right? So the budgets allocations will be done for each and every product or each and every solution. And from there onwards, it is up to the solution or up to that product how they want to make use of that budget and how they want to get it done. Again, this is not covered in a typical Scrum or typical Scrum guide. This is where, if in case we are talking about organization, enterprise level, we might be having multiple solutions and we might be even touch basing about the budgeting, the organization vision, the roadmap, strategies. Yes, that is what the Scale Agile is trying to set the context at the organization level in case they have multiple solutions. Good? Are we good till now?
Yeah, great.
Confusing?
Yeah.
No, it's making sense now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Sure. Now let's go back to our essential configuration, and nothing to worry about full. Full is a combination of essential plus large solution plus portfolio. Everything coming together is what we call it as a full configuration. Not even 1 or 2% of organizations across the world is making use of full safe. So nothing to worry about full safe. If in case you are getting ready for any interview, if in case you are focusing as a Scrum Master role, start exploring essential. Max to max, you can go for portfolio. Essential, once you get clarity about essential, that's when they can go to portfolio. That's it. No need to worry about large solution. No need to worry about a full configuration. First, get comfortable with essential, then portfolio, just to get an idea. That's it. No one will ask you how the budgeting is done at enterprise level if you're going for a Scrum Master interview. No. Even if you can even mention, as a Scrum Master, my scope is at the team level or from the safe implementation. My focus is at the release train level. My scope is at the release train level. So I'm not involved as a Scrum Master. I'm not involved in the budgeting part or the strategy at the organization level. That's it. Simple, straightforward. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good. Let's come back to the essential, just to again simplify the view, and let's get started with the Scrum Master or the team coach. Now with the version 6, they started naming it as a team coach because yes, the Scrum Master is a coach. It should be a coach. Scrum Master is not just a facilitator. Many cases, many organizations, knowingly or unknowingly, they are making the Scrum Master be just a facilitator for the events. And end of the day, they will come back and say, I'm not getting benefit of Scrum Master. Let's me release the entire Scrum Masters or entire Agile coaches. No. Just don't be a facilitator. Even if we are just a team level Scrum Master, just don't restrict or limit yourself just to facilitate the events. Anyone can do it. Right? So you need to start focusing on coaching the team as well. That's the reason from version 6, Scale Agile refined the name as Scrum Master / Team Coach. So let's click on it and see how it opens. So the beauty of the framework is the moment you click on any icon, any component, it will open in a new tab. The content, what are the icon or the component, you click on it, it will open in a new tab. So you can explore it, you can try to understand it, and you can go back to the framework as such. So what is that? The typical definition they gave is a servant leader and coach for Agile team who facilitate team events and process, supports teams and release lines in delivering value. We all know that. So what else? What else? That is what, let's come back. I mean, scroll down and we will see the characteristics of a safe Scrum Master or a team coach. They have given a list of attributes or characteristics, what are the terminology we call. Right? So we need to start making use of these, and they gave different references, right? Mike Cohn or Lisa Atkins, lots of references they have given. Try to go through these books or these references, you will get more clarity, right? So the initial part, we might feel that these are a typical Scrum Master role, are expected to be a Scrum Master. So let me scroll down a little bit. Yes, the responsibilities listed are highlighted here. Building high-performing teams, we might get it out again. Yes, I am already working as a Scrum Master. I'm working on helping my teams to build a high-performing team. So it is, I'm aware of it, or it is already part of my job, part of my role. Yes, well and good. That's what is expected as part of safe Scrum Master as well. Improving flow, this is where the lean concepts come, and at times we might be using the Kanban or maybe the lean, identifying the waste or gaps or guidelines or anything as such coming up in the improving flow. The supporting iteration execution. Iteration is nothing but sprint. Don't get confused. The sprint is a typical Scrum terminology. Iteration is a safe terminology. So both are like synonyms. So these three are like a typical Scrum Master level responsibility. So let's take a look at the other two. Facilitating PI planning. This is a new thing. What is a PI planning? And why it is coming as a responsibility of a Scrum Master? Nowhere it is mentioned as a Scrum Master, I should be facilitating only the sprint planning. Why it is tagged as a responsibility of Scrum Master for facilitating PI planning? And the other responsibility is improving ART, Agile Release Train performance. These two are new to a typical Scrum Master perspective, right? Going back to the question, yes, this is where the transition of Scrum Master to RT gets started. Because ideally, the facilitation of the PI planning, improving the release train performance are the defined responsibilities of a release train engineer. So these are added responsibilities or like a extended responsibilities for a Scrum Master. If in case you're already playing a role of Scrum Master in a safe perspective, you need to start exploring beyond your team, exploring beyond your teams, maybe 2 teams or 3 teams you started working as a Scrum Master. You need to start focusing on expanding your scope. How? They are trying to set a context by trying to facilitate PI planning or by trying to improve the release train performance, which is like indirectly you're trying to scale up into the RTE role. Okay. So 3 are typical responsibilities of Scrum Master plus 2 additional responsibilities from the safe perspective, which are defined newly from the version 6 onwards. Good. Any questions? Okay. Thanks, Katkin. And I'm not explaining all the things details. So start exploring it. You will get an idea. And again, in the next conversation, we can discuss further, because if we start exploring everything now, the time won't be sufficient. Okay. So that is a typical responsibilities of the Scrum Master beyond a typical team level Scrum Master, or how to navigate or how to move or how to scale up from Scrum Master to RTE perspective. So we need to start closely working with your release train engineer. So where is the release train engineer? Here is a additional role coming up. We will discuss in a couple of minutes. So team level, the Scrum Master, Product Owner, and the team. So beyond the team, we have the additional roles we will discuss now. Why additional roles came up, or why additional roles is defined from Scale Agile perspective. Again, just to set the context, now we have to coordinate these teams together to help them resolve their dependencies, to help them, coordinate and communicate throughout the implementation, throughout the releases, throughout the implementation. That is where the additional role, don't get confused, the RT is an additional role, which means it might be played by one of the existing associates. RT, the way how Scrum Master might not be a full-time role for many organizations, RT also might be the same case. Many cases, the program manager or one of the associate, or in some cases, the agile coaches are playing the role of RT. Each organization again has their own way of implementation, their own way of taking up the things. So what is the responsibilities of RT? They're called as a chief Scrum Master for the release train. What is a release train? The name itself talks about a train. Multiple teams coming together, working together. That's why they call here as teams, agile teams. So multiple teams coming together, doing a continuous exploration, continuous integration, continuous deployment, and focusing on releasing on demand, and working on one single agile release train level backlog or product backlog from a typical Scrum perspective, and focusing on delivering one single solution. That is what is a agile release train. Multiple teams coming together, working together. And when we say multiple teams coming together and working together, again, the next question we might get a doubt. What should be the sprint duration? What should be the sprint start date and date for these teams? We know that we have multiple teams working on same solution. What should be the sprint duration? Team A, I want to go for 2-week sprint. Team B, I want to go for 3-week sprint. Team C, they will say, I will start my sprint on Monday to Friday. Team D might be saying Wednesday to Tuesday. Will it work? For a typical train, how it happens? All the compartments, all the coaches should come together, should travel in the same direction, in the same speed, in the same pace. Only then the train will reach the destination, from the starting station to the final station. Same should be the case with all the teams at the release train as well. When we say agile teams working as part of an agile release train, all the teams, they need to have a common discussion, common conversation of what's the sprint duration, what's the start dates and end dates and everything. And all the entire release train should be following a same cadence. Simple. Within the team, how they implement, it is up to them. But all the teams should have the same start dates, same end dates, because we haven't just brought them together just for a reason. They need to focus on continuous integration as well, and they need to focus on doing a continuous deployment to production as well, which means these teams should be able to coordinate during the implementation throughout the sprints. When it will happen? Only when they have the common cadence, so that they can coordinate and they can identify, they can resolve, discuss and resolve about the dependencies as well. In SAFe, how is the iteration duration decided? The same is the case with the typical Scrum level, Jagdish. How do we define a 2-week sprint versus 3-week sprint? The same is the case with the SAFe as well. The scope of the sprint versus the stakeholder availability versus how soon, how quick your stakeholders, your business folks are expecting you to do a demo or do a integration deployment. Like that, few factors will come into context for defining or identifying the iteration duration of the scaled agile implementation. It's a typical Scrum level. The same concepts will come. Only thing is like, now we are not just talking about one team. We need to ensure all the teams as well should be following the same sprint duration. So just don't focus on our own team. We need to focus, we need to think about multiple teams whom we need to work together, whom we need to coordinate, interact together. And our role as a Scrum Master plays a key role here, because we identify dependencies. We will be the one who might be coordinating the dependencies and who need to interact with other Scrum Masters or with other teams to facilitate this dependency resolutions or the conversations with the team. Right. So a little bit of additional scope of identifying the dependencies plus the teams will be coming up at the Scrum Master level. Yes, both the questions are similar. Team backlogs will prioritize by PO, who will prioritize ART backlog. Who owns ART backlog? Multiple people. Yes. So at the team level, we have a product owner who might be owning the team backlog. We have a role called as product management. Look at the role name. It is a product management. It is not product manager, which means it could be multiple folks coming together and playing that role. Ideally, what could be happening is all the product owners of these teams come together and they themselves call themselves a product management committee or a community. Yes, because they are the ones who are actually working on the implementation. They are the ones who know what is to be implemented. They are the ones who need to be implementing the solution, backlog, prioritize. They are the ones who interact with the actual customer and user. So they themselves might be the best fit for playing the product management role. Some cases, it might be a separate individual who might be playing, especially when we are coming with a brand new product, brand new solution. Right? I will give my own example. I was working for a banking client where we are implementing a enhancements for the existing product, which means by the time we started with this safe implementation, the product is there, already launched, already the banking customers making use of this, both the online website versus the mobile app, everything. We are adding new features, new functionalities, or we are doing some adjustments or some scope changes, some new features for the existing things. So then the actual end user interaction might be minimal, might be limited, or might not be too much. So the product owners playing the role of product management helped for that specific context. The next instance, we started a brand new product. We are done with that, the online banking website or the mobile app implementation. So then we started a brand new product for a wealth management. Wealth management is like iccdirect.com, for example, like especially like a high critical or wealthy customers, like maybe Ambani's or Adani's, someone like that, right? So then what's required? The role or scope of product manager has to spend more time with talking to the actual customers, actual end users, going and meeting them in person and having the conversations with them and doing interaction, explaining the scope or setting the context or knowing what is required, what is priority from their side, and each and everything. If that is the case, the same product owners are playing the role of product management, the teams might lose the involvement or the interaction with the product owners. That's what happened with our case, because the product managers has to travel across. I'm talking about pre-COVID situation. They need to travel, because we can't say that like, let's have a Zoom call. No, they might not be ready to, because each client is unique, and we are talking about a wealthy clients. It's not a typical savings account or a credit card customers. So there, we can't just simply say that, okay, let me schedule a Zoom call all the customers, or I will send a form, you fill the details and send it. It won't work that way. In such cases, they might have to have individual one-on-one conversations. Even if it is a Zoom or online, having an interaction with each and every customer and user or prospective customer, if that is the case, the teams might be losing the scope of interaction with the product owner on a day-to-day basis. So if that is the case, recommended to have a separate individuals play the role of product management, who identify the release train level or the product level backlog, on who defines it, who focus on it, who get the priorities done. And the typical product owners at the team level, they can take care of the team backlogs from the team perspective. Right? So again, the context matters, whether the same individuals can play the role of product management or a different individual. It is again up to the organization context. Good.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And we are not going to talk about the backlog prioritization. Recommended by Scale Agile itself is like a huge topic. If required, we will do a hands-on activity for that. We did a couple of times earlier. We will schedule a dedicated time for that, and we will do it. At typical team level, we can do a backlog of Moscow, Kano, or any other prioritization technique. It is up to the product owner and the team. But from the Scale Agile at the product level, we have a specific technique called as weighted shortest job first. We will do a detailed discussion about it, how a prioritization technique is defined, and how it can be beneficial, why it can be beneficial, how it can be beneficial. Maybe once we discuss in detail, you might get more clarity. But just for the time being, you can try to go through it. Click on the WSF. You might get confused. That's fine. Nothing to worry. But once we get a clarity, once we get a discussion on that, along with the hands-on, you might get more clarity on what is this WSF and how it is different from a typical Moscow or Kano or any other prioritization technique. Good. So have we covered all the things except the metrics? Metrics we haven't, but yes. Now coming to the renewal part. Right? So the renewal, many of the companies might not be asking for a valid safe certification until unless you are a SPC, or I'm an SPC. So if in case I'm applying for any safe implementation roles, company might be asking, Satish, do you have a valid SPC, or how long your SPC is valid? But for any other role or any other certification, company might not be asking a valid certification. Or anytime you can say that I'm certified in safe version 6. Let's suppose some of you might be getting certified this year 2023 in the version 6. Next year 2024, maybe we might be getting version 7, for example. Then anytime you can still go and say I'm certified in safe 6.0. Company might not be asking we need a valid active certification for safe Scrum Master or safe Agilist. No, might not be. They might be mentioning might be certified in safe Scrum Master or safe Agilist. That's what the trend which we observe in the job descriptions or in the opportunities. right? So it is up to us. If in case any company is explicitly asking, no, we need only active certification holders, then at that point of time, if required, you can go and renew that certification alone, if required, again, if required. Or we can ask your future employer, as you're already implementing Scale Agile, can you help me with the renewal? Yes, why not? Our organization, we used to do the renewal for the existing employees. Yes, you can check on the renewal part, or you can get it reimbursed as part of your continuous learning. Or who knows, you can get a approval for, let's suppose now you are certified in Safe Scrum Master, you can get an approval for doing a next certification like Advanced Scrum Master, which will talk about additional details or additional topics beyond a Scrum Master. Yes, you can anytime opt for it, provided your employer is reimbursing it. Okay.
Yeah, I got the clarity, Satish. Thank you.
Yes, and no one will ask, hey, share your active certification. No, if in case any employer is asking, you can still share your previous certification, whichever. Let's suppose you are in version 5 certified, you can share that version 5 certified. It might be having the expiry date. That's fine. If in case they ask like, hey, it's not valid or it's not active, you can mention, hey, I'm in the job search. Right now, I'm looking for a new role. If in case your organization is implementing SAFe, can you help me with the renewal part? Can you help me reimbursing the renewal once I join your organization? Simple. That's it. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Satish.
Okay. And one thing about metrics, opportunities for RT or SPC. Yeah. Before going to the metrics, let me touch base on that. Fortunately or unfortunately, RT roles are not coming up in India. Various reasons are there. Irrespective of whether you are a service company or a product company, the RT opportunities are not coming up in India. Reason? As an RTE, if in case, let's suppose I am an RTE, as an RTE, I need to talk to system architect, I need to talk to my product management, I need to talk to the business owners, I need to coordinate with each and everyone. Let's suppose I am sitting in India here. My business owners in Singapore, or my business owners in Australia, or in US, or some other UK. How much time we can overlap and how much time we can get that coordination done. So that's the reason. That's one of the reason why many companies are not explicitly looking for RTs from or based out of India. That is one thing. The second thing is, even if in case they are looking for a RTE, they are not explicitly asking RTE certification. This is second point. Reason? Companies know that the RTE certification is costlier. So let's suppose Bhaskar is having experience of RTE but not a certified RTE, whereas Satish is a certified RTE. They might be assuming, oh, okay, because Satish is certified RTE, he might be quoting more CTC. Right. So that's another reason. In many opportunities which we came across recently, they're asking that hands-on experience of RTE is required or is expected, but they're not explicitly mentioning we need safe RTE certified for RTE roles. Okay. Yes, Jagdish, that is another valid point. Internally, the SMs, Scrum Masters, are getting promoted to RTE, or the program managers, or sometimes even we saw that the Agile coaches or the SPCs are taking up the RTE roles. Yes, that is the thing. And SPC only for teaching SAFe to others? No, Bhaskar. SPC is one of the role is teaching safe, right? For getting more clarity, click on implementation roadmap. Let me quickly open it up just for the benefit of everyone. This is the overall implementation roadmap from Scaled Agile perspective, starting from the moment an organization identifies that they want to go with the safe implementation. So each and every step, the SPC has a role in playing it. And it is not just training. Training comes, but not just training, right? So organizing around value, the value stream identification workshop, creating the implementation plan, preparing for the launch of the release train, training the teams and launching the train, and coaching the entire train, or including the Scrum Masters, product owners, RT, everyone on the Scale Agile implementation, and then expanding to multiple trains, expanding to portfolio. Each and every step, the SPCs has a role. So the training, others will be coming only maybe 20 to 30%. The remaining 70%, the SPCs has to work on all these things. Okay, does that answer your question, Bhaskar? Yes. And Karthikeyan has one question. PSM or to safe Agilist or SSM, which one will make sense? If you ask me, I recommend to go for safe Agilist. The reason, the safe Scrum Master, I will share the link. Let me open the links. Agile.com. The safe Scrum Master will be focusing only on the role of Scrum Master, where they talk about, let me open it up, you will get more idea. They will talk about how you can be a Scrum Master for your team, facilitating sprint planning, daily stand-up, demo, retrospective, writing user stories, and then the next step of what you say, the release train level events, right? So click on learn more from here. You will get more details about it. The same way I will show the safe edge list as well. We will get clarity on it, right? So the safe Scrum Master here, they will be talking only about the team level. You can go through this. You will get an idea about it. And again, you can reach out to me one-on-one. You can discuss if you have any other questions as well, right? So what it is like, click on exam and certification details for both the safe Scrum Master and leading safe. Leading safe also come down here. Click on exam and certification details. You will get a clarity on what is covered as part of that course. Right. First, take a look at the safe Scrum Master perspective. Forget about the exam and the questions that we can discuss later. Introducing Scrum in safe. Basic Agile development, Scrum concepts, Agile teams in safe, high-performing team events, DevOps and release on demand. So out of these, you might be already covered majority of these except the safe related concepts in PSM or CSM, right? Yeah. Then again, the Scrum, defining the Scrum Master or team coach role, the characteristics, responsibilities of the team coaching, you might be already aware of as part of PSM or CSM. Yes. And the iteration planning, team sync, backlog refinement, review, retrospective, again, you might be already aware as part of PSM or CSM. Yes. So what is the additional things coming up here? The PI planning, the IPI iteration, the inspect and adapt, which is only 25% of the course.
This is a very good point. Even I am looking for such answer. I mean, such
right?
Such junction. Yeah.
Yes. So you're getting the idea. So this way, you before even enrolling for a course, you're getting if you're already PSM or CSM certified, or if you're already playing the role of Scrum Master, you might be aware of majority of these, except the PI planning, IPA iteration, inspect and adapt.
Correct, Satish. Yeah, got it.
Right. Now let's take a look at the safe Agilist. Safe Agilist. Here they are talking about the many additional things. Many additional things. The safe as the lesson 1 is all about like setting a context of what is safe, why safe, and what is the business agility, what is the core competencies and everything. The lesson 2 talks about the core values, lean agile principles, the safe principles, which is not covered in the safe Scrum Master course.
Yeah.
Right. And lesson 3, here we talk about the cross-functional teams, built-in quality, organizing around the teams in the form of agile release trains. It is just covered only 6 to 8%. So you need to get a clarity on that. So if in case you want to get more clarity or more hands-on from the team perspective, the Safe Agilist is not a relevant course for you.
Okay.
Okay.
Got
So
it.
team level will be only 6 to 8% is covered. Then what else is covered? The majority, 29 to 33%, and again another 29 to 33% is covered about the core values, principles. And here we talk about the design thinking, the release train backlog, and the prioritization WSGF technique, how in detail the PI planning happens. Hands-on of PI planning happens in scale, Safe Agilist. Hands-on of PI planning is not there in the Safe Scrum Master or POPM or in the Safe Advanced Scrum Master as well. So if in case any of you are looking for hands-on of PI planning, my sincere suggestion is to go for Safe Agilist course.
Yeah, okay. Got it.
Okay. And they will talk about the release, develop on cadence, release on demand, continuous delivery pipeline, plus a 12 to 14% of the portfolio. We discussed a little bit about, right? The strategies, the budgeting, the organization level context will be touched a little bit, not everything, because the lean portfolio management itself is like a huge ocean and it won't be covered everything. You will get a high level idea of what's the basic of lean portfolio management. If in case your organization is having multiple solutions, you will get a little bit of idea, the basics of the portfolio management.
Got it.
Okay.
Got it.
Yes. Then going back, if in case again any of you are focusing only at the team level, right? So instead, I might recommend Advanced Scrum Master. Right. So here again, let's go to the Advanced Scrum Master. We will take a look at it as well. So again, this is open source. Click on scaleagile.com. Go to the training and certification, train and certify, right? Click on which course is right for you. All the courses are listed. Click on each and every course and go to exam details. You will get all these. This is all open source. I haven't even logged in, right? So which means it is open source. You can access any point of time, right? So this is the Advanced Scrum Master role. So here they are giving the topics, and here in the Safe Scrum Master there is no covering or coverage of the safe principles, but in the Advanced Scrum Master it is there, right? They're talking about the principles and the Scrum patterns, anti-patterns, and how you can facilitate program execution. So if in case any of you are planning to move into Scrum Master to RTE role, instead of going for an RTE course, I can recommend you to go for Advanced Scrum Master, because all the things are already covered within this. Planning the program increment, organizing the teams on the train, executing the program increment, preparing for the next PI planning. Each and everything is covered as part of your Advanced Scrum Master. You can get started instead of going for an RT course. right? And the program performance, right? So remember when we look at the Scrum Master responsibilities, we saw 2 additional scope, right? Facilitating PI planning and improving release train performance. Yes, those 2 are not covered in Safe Scrum Master, but covered in Advanced Scrum Master. So if in case any of you are looking for team level itself or planning to go for a RT role sort of thing, you Advanced Scrum Master is one of the suggestion. However, the Advanced Scrum Master version 6 is not yet released. It is still version 5.1. We are all waiting for the version 6 release. So I can keep you posted when the Advanced Scrum Master version 6 is getting released. Okay. Are you good?
Got it, Satish. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Any other questions? So except metrics, we covered all the at least the questions or the topics which we discussed. Let me quickly go back to the framework so that I can show the metrics. So when we go to portfolio, right, here we have the measure and grow, and here we have KPIs, right? And where is the metrics? They removed the metrics. They changed the terminology. So yes, measure and grow is where they will talk about what you can measure and how you can grow or how you can help improve your team or relational performance. The KPIs and OKRs. So these are the 3 things. You can take a look at it to get an idea about the metrics from the safe perspective. Again, don't get worried about too many things. You might get a little bit of clarity. Again, any questions, you can come back and we can discuss on it.
Thanks, Satish.
Okay. Any other questions? Anything which before we wrap up?
Hi, Satish.
Yes.
I asked a question. I asked a question on the chat window. I suspect, I assume, Agile coach would be a multiple frameworks person like a Scrum, Kanban, XP. He's a horizontal growth of.
Yes, there is a for Agile again. If you are talking about a typical Agile coach, not from the safe perspective, there is a Agile coaching wheel. Let me share in the group. I guess I shared in the group, or I will check and share it. There is a what do you call the Agile coach wheel. Let me see if I have that. I'm not sure. I have tons of material, so I need to.
So after a person is matured enough as a Scrum Master, then he can choose either horizontal growth or vertical growth. If he selects vertical growth, then he would go for RTE and SPC like that. Or Agile coach means learning other frameworks and be a coach for all of the Scrum Master.
Yes, that's correct to some extent, right? So now you're able to see the screen, the PDF.
Yes.
Yeah, see the levels of Agile coaching. Team level, yes, as a Scrum Master, you're a team coach. Then Agile coach, teams, and in between teams in the middle management, like you might have to coach your product owner, you might have to coach your engineering manager, you might have to coach your leaders, or you might have to coach your stakeholders. Then enterprise Agile coach, like leaders, like vice president, directors, executives, or even your clients at times. So at the organization level or the structures, or you might even have to bring in a change in the culture, all these like. So team level coach, Agile coach, or the enterprise Agile coach. So these are typical, what do you say, the levels. I don't call it as a hierarchy, but these are called as a typical levels. And the coaching competency, right? The professional coaching, the facilitation, business mastery, transformation mastery, technical mastery. Yes, we are discussing in the group today, in the Earth group, right? So gone are the days where we go and say that, hey, I'm an Agile coach or I'm a Scrum Master, I will just talk about process. No, that's not the case. We need to talk about the technical mastery as well. Like we are saying that the teams need to integrate their code continuously. Satish, show how to do it, or say help the teams how to do it. Just don't say give a statement and go. Right. So the technical mastery is also equally important for any one of us, whether you are Scrum Master or Agile coach or manager or any role. Start improving, start focusing on the technical mastery as well. That includes the DevOps, GitHub, or Jira, or Jenkins, or any other things which is required for helping the teams. Right? And yes, we can move horizontally or we can move vertically. It is up to us, individual perspective, and how we want to navigate or how we want to expand our skill set and expertise going ahead. Right? Are you good?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes. So hope the information was helpful. It is not confusing, at least. Let me know if you still have any confusion or the points which we discussed. Do you want any clarification or any other pointers? We can still discuss. But otherwise, yes, maybe next week sometime again we can schedule some time like this. And let me see. If in case you want to do any hands-on, we need at least a couple of hours to set the context, to get an idea, and to do the hands-on. So for hands-on, let me try to schedule over a weekend, and I will schedule it upfront. I mean, give advance information or intimation so that it can be available and you can be ready for that. Is it okay if we schedule any session on a weekend?
Yes,
Yes, Satish.
Okay, cool. Today being a US holiday, I got some free time. I have some meetings, but still got some free time. So quickly I scheduled a meeting today so that we can go through, get started with this. The next time onwards, I will try to inform well ahead, at least 2-3 days before, whether it is during the weekdays or maybe on the weekend as well, so that like anything we can try to collaborate and we can get it done. Good.
Thank you so much, Satish. That's nice information.
Okay, cool.
Thanks, Satish.
Okay, bye everyone. Have a
Thank you.
good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks.
Thank you.